Hello and welcome to Pockenrop. In today's video I am continuing my series of top 15 #1 singles of the decade, this time the 1990s. So this is a decade that I have to admit I don't love, although there are individual records and albums from this period that are absolutely very special to me. So let's dive straight in with number 15, which is Hanson and Umbop. Now, I know that this is an earworm, but it's such a good earworm. Umbop is a great song. I remember reading an article in The Guardian that was celebrating the 20th anniversary of its release in 2017, and people admitting just how much they really loved this song. Now, Hanson, as far as I'm aware, didn't do anything of any real note after this, but Umbop is just an absolutely cracking single. At number 14, I have placed Don't Speak by No Doubt. This is a song that whenever I hear it catapults me back in my memories to when I used to hear it on the radio. At the time I worked a night shift with the Forensic Science Service and we used to have a radio on. It was part of what helps get you through a night shift, to be honest. And this song was a major hit at the time. And every time I hear it, I think back to those times of working nights. At number 13, I have placed a cover version. Now, normally I get a bit funny about cover versions, but this one's really special. And it is the cover of Perfect Day by the BBC. So, for those of you who don't know, in the late 90s, the BBC ran a 3-minute trail about the BBC services and particularly music that was broadcast. What they did was create a portmanteau style cover version of Perfect Day by Lou Reed, kicking off with Lou Reed himself. And then a whole gamut of different artists sing a line or two lines. You've got Elton John, U2, Dr. John. And the whole point was it was demonstrating just how wide the variety of music broadcast by the BBC was. This was a phenomenally popular trail, and it got released as a single for Children in Need and shot to #1. And it's great. The song Perfect Day is wonderful. But this version of it, whenever you hear it, it's really quite special, actually. And it's my number 13. At number 12, I have placed Celine Dion's Think Twice. I'm not a big Celine Dion fan, although this is not the first time that she has been mentioned in one of my videos. As you know, I did a video after Jim Steinman died, and I really admire her version. It's all coming back to me now. The only other song by Celine Dion that I would elevate to that same level is Think Twice. Now, this has a link back to one of my all-time favourite artists, which are Bucks Fizz. That's because this song was written by Andy Hill and Pete Sinfield, who wrote all of Bucks Fizz's major hits. It has a bit of a story. It's one of the longest climbs to reach #1 in the British charts. And I think it's a really, really good ballad. And number 11 is my entry on this list by the 90s phenomenon, the Spice Girls. And it is Who Do You Think You Are? Easily my favourite Spice Girls song. And just a great pop dance tune. It's fantastic. Who Do You Think You Are? Definitely the best thing they ever did. So let's enter the top 10. And at number 10, I have got The Drugs Don't Work by The Verve. Now, I don't particularly like The Verve, but this track is superb. And yes, it's miserable, bordering on the morose. But there is a context to this. This reached #1 the week after the death of Princess Diana. Currently in the news because, of course, it's now finally come out just how much subterfuge was involved in getting the Martin Bashir interview with. And I think the British public wanted something that reflected just how their mood was with this tragedy of her death. And The Drugs Don't Work was probably the most miserable song that was current at the time. But it is a great single. And actually, I do return back to it. And number 9, a little bit more upbeat now, and it's Deep Blue Something and Breakfast at Tiffany's. I have no idea if Deep Blue Something ever did anything else, but if they didn't, they've got a place in history with Breakfast at Tiffany's. It's such a bouncy, fantastic pop song. I know it's about a relationship breakup and trying to remember what the good things about it were, but I love this song. I have gigged this song. I really enjoy Breakfast at Tiffany's. And number 8 from 1991, and I think it might have been the best-selling single that year, I'm not sure, but it's Stay by Shakespears Sister. And the two vocals of Marcella Detroit and Siobhan Fay, and that tussle in the song and the video over someone who seems to be in a coma. And it's just a great song, Stay. Really, really good song. I really like Stay. I actually quite like the album it comes from as well, Hormonally Yours. And number 7 is the entry on this list from Blur. Now, Blur had 2 number ones in the 90s. I enjoy both of them, but the one I particularly enjoy is Country House. And that might not be everybody's pick. Other people might go for Beetleborg, but I find Country House just thoroughly enjoyable. And I've got great memories of being involved in a choir that sang this in Edinburgh for a rock gospel choir. Country House just makes me kind of happy, which is interesting seeing as the lyrics involve Prozac. Country House by Blur, number 7. And number 6, I have got something by what I think is probably the biggest singles band of that decade, and it's Never Forget by Take That. Their absolute masterwork. I could have considered actually Back for Good. That might well have snuck into this top 15 too if I was going to include 2 from one artist. But Never Forget is their crowning glory for me. It's big, it's bombastic, and I found out, as you'll see from my Jim Steinman video, that was produced by Jim Steinman. So it kind of fits that it's so big and heavy and loud. It's great. So much better than the album version too. Top 5 time. And at number 5, I have placed a really old song. It's Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers. My favourite version of this song that has reached number 1 in 4 different versions. If you want to go and look at my top 10 worst number 1 singles, you will see it in there as well, with the version by Robson and Jerome. But the Righteous Brothers version became a massive hit as a result of the film Ghost. It was the second time the song had reached number 1, first time for the Righteous Brothers, and it is a perfect cover that just happened to reach number 1 more than 20 years after it was originally released. At number 4, I'm going to return to 1991 and a song that turned out to be this artist's last number 1 before the lead singer died, and it is, of course, Queen and Innuendo. It was a deserved number 1. It's about 6 minutes long. There is the hard rock sections. There is Spanish guitar played by Steve Howe. It's the title song of their final album. It's such a good song, Innuendo. My number 4. And number 3, I have placed a cover version. Now, this is the third cover version of the list, given the fact that I usually say I have an issue with cover versions. It's easily in my top 10 cover versions of all time, and it is Nothing Compares to You by Sinead OConnor from 1990. And the video, again, you can't sometimes divorce the visuals from the vocals, but it's so plainly shot with her headshot in a black polo neck as she's singing this song at the camera. And there's a moment where a tear rolls down her cheek, and the emotion that she's singing suddenly is heightened by this visual. And it turned out that this was actually a genuine reaction at the point that she was filming the video, because she'd recently split up with someone. And it really is one of the 10 best cover versions I've ever heard. It's beautiful. At number 2, I have placed a song that had been released 9 years previously to it hitting number 1. And it's as a result of an advert. It is Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash. I love The Clash. And Should I Stay or Should I Go finally reaching the number 1 spot and them getting that career #1 that had eluded them. To my knowledge, I don't believe they'd even actually had a top 10 hit before Should I Stay or Should I Go crashed into the top of the charts. It's so good that it got ripped off 20 years later by One Direction. It's a great song, full of attitude, full of great playing, and a band like The Clash finally deserved it. #2, Should I Stay or Should I Go? And so we reach my number one of the 1990s, a song so wrapped up in its time, a genuine classic that has life beyond the charts. It is Three Lions by Baddiel, Skinner and the Lightning Seeds. For me, it says summer. It throws me back to 1996 and that glorious summer when England were playing football. That was fantastic. It throws me back to even to 2018 when we were on the verge of making the World Cup final. It's a feeling, it's a euphoria, and it's a great song. My number one, Three Lions by Baddiel, Skinner and the Lightning Seeds. So that concludes my top 15 number ones of the 1990s. Let me know in the comments below what you think I have given short shrift to and missed off. I had compiled this list about a month and a half ago, and actually maybe if I was to do it again, I might be considering putting in Don't Look Back in Anger, which is an absolutely cracking tune. Please remember, like and subscribe. My wife refers to this as me talking to my imaginary friends. I know there's 12 of you subscribing. I'd like there to be more, so please tell people about the channel too. Remember to hit the bell to receive notifications, and thank you very much for watching. See you next time.